I have a question for you. Are thought leaders made or born? You know, we're going to really go into this because I have an interesting guest who is a creative person, is an innovator, is a thought leader, and is someone that just keeps reinventing and just reinventing himself. But stay tuned, we'll be right back. Hello and welcome to TANTV Talks. My name is Adedayo Fashanu, and TANTV Talks is a platform for conversations that matter. My guest today is Mr. Marco LeRoc. Marco, how are you?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
I am great. I'm so excited to have you on this episode of TANTV Talks. And this has been long overdue for us to have a conversation. So I'm excited that, we're having this. And let's not forget, there's been so much going on in 2020, the pandemic the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement, and you had some things coming up this year that was being affected by the pandemic, and we're going to go into all of that, right? But first of all, introduce yourself to us for those that do not know you, because I don't think I did good justice with it. But in my opinion, you are a thought leader, and you are, a creator in the leadership space, especially grooming African youth and young leaders, even like myself. So can you just give us a bit into your background and who you are as a person?
Adedayo, so thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on your platform.
Of course, anytime.
I really appreciate that. First, my name is Marco Kpeglo LeRoc, reached from West Africa, Togo. I live in Omaha, Nebraska. Even though I don't think Omaha is cool, Omaha is usually cool for those of you who live in the East Coast. I'm an author of 3 books, Cash In With Your Money, Screw College Debt, and Activate Your Untapped Potential. I'm a speaker and also an accountability partner, helping people achieve their everyday goal or long-term or short-term goal. I'm also the creator of an event called the Leadership Africa Summit, a gathering of young professionals and people who have a passion for Africa to get together and get inspired. Also the founder of the League for African Advancement King, which is a nonprofit organization. I also host a show called Inside a Great Mind. So some of the few hats that I wear, I can share with you.
I mean, that's amazing. I knew I didn't do the intro justice, given the many hats that you wear. But everything stems from wanting to help people with their personal development. Everything that you do, from the books that you write to having the event, the Leadership Africa Summit, everything is rooted in having a strong mindset and having a higher mental state, and just improving on quality and productivity and achievement. So let's go into your background as to how you got started in the field of thought leadership, given the many hats under thought leadership. But how did you even develop yourself, and how did you get your mind to think out of the box?
Well, it's gonna, long story short, coming from West Africa to go back in the days, it was kind of hard, like many other immigrants, the struggle that we all, endure or go through. And through that process, I made a lot of financial mistakes. And then I was so lucky enough to find great mentors, who kind of brought me, teaching me some few key skills about money management. And I thought myself, once I learned those skills, I could not keep those to myself.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, maybe I can just write a book, in a way to vehicle those messages that would benefit others. Because we know that the best way to learn a skill is to teach others.
Yes.
We become an expert in something when we keep doing researches and showing others the right way to do it, and not keeping those information to ourselves, right? So I decided to write a book. But the challenge were that I came from French-speaking country, and people keeping laughing at me back then, how you gonna write a book, in English, and who's gonna read it? Sometimes in life, I understand that we need to focus on the why instead of the how.
Yes.
But most of people they focus so much on the how I'm gonna do this is very difficult. But I know strongly deep inside me that the why was so much stronger than the how. So by the grace and by the courage, by the encouragement, of great mentors, we wrote the first book, called Cashing with Your Money. And the goal of that book, is to raise the awareness of the issue of financial education in this country. Because first of all, I thought back then when I was struggling, I thought the financial issue was only for immigrants. I didn't know that Americans also have financial issue. And then when we wrote the book, coming from the financial crisis back then, we understand that we have issue with our want and our need. Financial literacy education is a must. So we lay down those things in the book, but also we kind of explore the fundamentals, that what will help you, save money, budget, and invest. Things having a life insurance. Those the basic foundation that we don't think about. From there, I started going to high school, because I thought, that's the only way I can practice speaking, right? Because I'm not good at it. So I was going to do those stuff for free, going to high school, do all those places and speaking. And by then, I started getting booking. My first gig, I remember, was at Stanford University.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it, yeah. And back then, when they called me, they were asking me, what are your fees? Oh my God, I didn't even know that was a fee. I was on the phone, I wouldn't know what to say.
Yeah.
And finally, I just said 1,000. And they said, okay. And I remember they paid me 1,000. They flew me there. And that was, before going there, I was so scared at Adedayo, because to me, I was wow, I'm going to go talk to those rich kids. I don't know what to say. I was studying that whole week. You will see me at the bookstore. Back then, Borders was still open. I was there trying to read every book on financial literacy, on financial planning that I can, so I can get prepared. But guess what? When I got there, I was very disappointed, because I realized that a lot of those kids that are getting out of school to start a real life were not prepared for the real life when it comes to money. Did not understand the basic principle of money. And that kind of gave me more the motivations, wow, there's a need for this thing. There is a room to educate more people about financial education. So we went on from there and wrote our second book called School College Debt, because we realized that there's an issue also called that right now is more than 1.5 trillion.
Yeah.
So in that book also, we raise the awareness of the issue of college debt. But then also we talk about how parents can send their kids to school with or with less debt. Things like, scholarship, things like, cover their plan, all those different routes that we can use. But also people who already have the debt, what are the way they can go by, to go and not have the burden of that debt? Because we go to school, right, to have a better life. But it seems to be the opposite nowadays, that people are kind of caught with the heavy debts, so stressed. A lot of people are underemployed. What is the point of paying 100K for education, while your degree is a social worker? That you're only gonna be making 36K. So we want to have those conversations with parents, students, so they know the reality before going in. But in the mix of all those, so we realize that you have to have the will and the drive, not to do everything in life.
Yes.
So I started working with young professionals in motivating them, saving, in adapting, better way. And that's what prompted to write our third book, Activate Your Untapped Potential. Because we truly believe that everybody have a gift within that they can use to develop him or himself. But sometimes we live in an environment that enables us to do so. Who are your friends? Who are you hanging out with? What are you reading? All those different things. What time you working at? What are you consuming in your brain? All those different things. So we talk about all those stuff. And we also show different techniques that will help people achieve the goal. As simple as it might is, more people set up goal, but they don't achieve it.
Yeah. I mean, I could just have you, go on, because what you, and this is it here, you've been able to show us even how you got started. But we underestimate the importance of personal development and just being motivated, right? Because we have these ideas, we have these dreams, and most times, even in our community, we don't even have enough people like yourself speaking to us about how to, develop our minds, how to think about money. How do you build a credit? How, you just know that I have to do this. I have this dream, but then the how is a different thing in its entirety. And so with that said, you went ahead to create the Leadership Africa Summit. And this summit has run for how many years now?
So this is supposed to be the third year, but unfortunately with COVID-19, we postpone to next year.
Take us into how you got started with this idea to create Leadership Africa. I mean, even the name says it all, but I'm very curious as to what made you decide that I'm going to have this event, and then explain the format in which you've created this event.
Yeah. So I had an opportunity to go to so many events, allowed to go to conferences, and learn and meet great minds. But I realize every time I go to those conferences, those events, I don't see us. What I mean by that, I don't see us African at those events. But I also realize that there's a lot of young professional African in this country. And right away it taught me what can we just bring together those great minds into one room so we can connect. We can connect one, so we can get inspired, second. But also so we can show people that African are not just African, that the way people think, because we are the one who have to change our narrative. Nobody can change it for us. And sometimes tell people it's our own fault. People treat us the way they treat us. People perceive us the way they perceive us, because we don't have the God to go out there to expose ourselves, to tell people that's who we are. So those were the motivation that bring me to have this event and to connect us. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that because there's this issue of diversity as well. And what we want to do on top of that, we bring the event as a gathering, not only for young professional African, but also for people who have passion for Africa. Because you have Caucasian, you have Hispanic people who love Africa, who are friends of African, who travel to Africa. So we want people to come together into one room. And the first 2 years, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was so beautiful seeing the room so diverse. Seeing people wearing different outfits, even like the Caucasian wearing African outfit, people coming together. So you asked the question about the format of the event. So basically what we did, we bring together entrepreneurs, professional, either African or African American or Caucasian as a speakers. The reason why we did that was we want to attract those different audiences, because we realize that we cannot promote Africa within Africa. We have to promote African to other group. In order to attract those people, we have to have different variety of speakers in our pipeline. So that's what we did. So we were to attract those people. But we changed the form of the event. Even we have a gala and award ceremony, because our goal also is to honor African descent, and also people who are supporting African, either the African American or Caucasians.
That's amazing. And I must confess that I was honored to be the MC for the first event that you had at Leadership Africa Summit. It was such an amazing experience. It was eye-opening, and it was just very refreshing to really connect with other Africans doing inspirational stuff. In fact, the connections I made there, I still have today as friends, and I still connect with them. And it's such a great platform that you've created. You don't even know the impact. So many people left that event with business connections, with deals, with just friendships. I mean, it's amazing what you've done, and I don't think that it should go unnoticed. I think it's something that should be applauded, and I think it's something that definitely, with everything we can do to support it and to make it continue, to continue it, because you can't underestimate what it means to bring a bunch of African innovators and thinkers and great minds, to bring them together in one space. And that is what you did. I can speak about this because I was there, and the people I met had never even, been in such high level circle, and I was so inspired. I was like, this is something that is newsworthy, And it's unfortunate that COVID-19 affected the event that you had planned for this year. Can you give us an insight as to how COVID-19 impacted you having this event in 2020?
Yeah, so we are we have everything. We work so hard, to make the 3 years very memorable. So the event's supposed to happen in April, but you realize in March, things will start shutting down. So we became very flexible, we didn't really want to push for anything. So we just decided hey, let's see how things unfold. So we tell people, we tell our guests, like, let's hold on, let's see how things unfold, and then we decide. Then when things like, start progressing, we realize that's going to be really impossible to get this event. We contemplate, like, to do, like, a virtual event.
Yeah.
But again, our format and the way we want the interaction and also the award ceremony, it won't do any good, to people to have the award ceremony online, right? So we just decide, like, hey, let's settle. Let's be patient. Let's move things forward for next year. Okay. And that will give us the ability, like, to have a better planning, to have more things in the pipeline and to have a great event. Yeah.
I'm really sorry that it was affected that way. Just like other small businesses and Black-owned businesses, and everybody in every spectrum was affected. And it brings me to this topic of equality, right? The sense that I read in some places online where talking about, COVID-19 brought everybody to the same playing field, leveled everybody up. Those who could travel had to sit at home, all of that stuff. But in reality, looking deep, I'm like, it's not the same playing field. Some people were affected. Some people were badly affected. Some people even died, right? And so it's not the same playing field. So let's talk about equality. You are a Black man, you're an immigrant, you're an African living in America, right? And you are also a business owner and a founder. And the Black Lives Matter movement that took, America with the amount of, I don't like to call it protest, I like to call it uprising, right? That happened. What are your thoughts as a leader in this space of thought leadership and bringing people together, connecting worlds? What are your thoughts about the Black Lives Matter movement? Your thoughts about how it's not an equal playing field, given how COVID-19 affected and impacted businesses like yours, right? What are some of the impacts? You can speak to that.
Yeah, so this is my, my honest opinion. So we understand that what happened, the tragedy that happened with George Floyd, that has sparked the Black Lives Matter movement into reality. And we believe that was necessary for people to voice their opinion, their frustration. And we also think, like, the Black Lives Matter have a positive impact, right? In terms that there have been some policy changes, some police department in some cities and things like that. But also has given opportunity for companies also to really embrace, how they can better work with people of color, how they can, like, have a meaningful conversation with us. So I can see, like, those are the positive things. But we understand that there's not equality. But it's not just about social justice. When it comes to Black Lives Matter, there's so many things, that we fall short into. We have a disparity in healthcare, right? We have a disparity when it comes to, like, economic development. So there is more than that to just, like, what happened with George Floyd. And I think we have more work to do. And what I'm saying right now is, like, all the protests, all these things are great. They have its place. But I think now is our time to talk, to sit down and figure out, like, strategy and plan and how we can move forward. But in order for us to do that, we have to come together as a Black community first.
Okay.
And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't. So we have to come. So that's why I'm pleased, to see some movement also where people, like, are supporting, like, Black business owners. Where there's some platform, like, for Black business owners to go and shop to support the Black brothers and sisters. So those, like, are great steps. But one key things, that I keep telling people nowadays is that Black people must vote. Black vote matters. It matters so much that we can believe, because all those little votes that we can go and cast and do all those stuff are going to change people, like, in the city, your county, and your country. So those are the key things, like, I can share with you in terms of my opinion. Yeah.
That's so true. Black votes matter, right? Let's look into some of the things that you have done given the pandemic? I know you're always innovative. You always try to, regardless of the circumstance, you always try to think outside of the box, and you always want to do something fresh and new. What are some of the things that you've done, given the status quo, to bring people together in this time where it's so needed?
Yeah, so at this point, like, honestly, I have been talking to people a lot. I've been listening a lot to people, talking and listening,
Yes.
and collecting some thoughts. And then I'm also working on two different projects that I cannot reveal right now.
Okay.
And so I think she's funny. I
I
think that's
know.
like, where I am. But also we just like, have some other event in the pipeline, smaller events in the pipeline that we're gonna be tackling. Either is online or in real life. We'll see.
Okay, well, you didn't disclose. I thought I was going to get an exclusive scoop here, but Marco, I don't know what you're doing, not disclosing, but wait, well, for sure, TANTV is here to stay up to date. So definitely let me know. I'm happy to write a press release and do all that good stuff on our platform regarding upcoming projects that you have. Of
Thank you so
course,
much.
just keep me posted with it. Just send me an email. I'm a call away, you know that. But let's talk about your show, Inside a Great Mind. Who are some of the guests that you've interviewed that we should go back to check out those episodes? I know you want to mention everybody, but what are some of your most recent conversations you've had on your show?
Yeah, so we have had so many with great mind.
Yes.
One of the people that I interviewed recently was the Omaha Police Chief.
Oh, wow.
So I thought it was really important during this time to interview him because they have made some policy changes.
Is the interview up? Is the is the interview live now? Can we watch it?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
live now. Yeah. So I want him to share, like, those information with the public, getting close to us, but also, like, how can we get educated also in the Black community to build that trust with the police department. So I think that's a really timely and important interview that people should listen to.
Yes.
Because we are mad, we are upset, but also, like, we need to come to a point where we need to work with those agencies and see how we can move forward. Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm curious what he had to say, because I know Omaha had a lot of stuff happening there, especially during the peak
Exactly.
of the protest and uprising, I would say. But I'm very curious. I think I definitely will go check out that episode. So we're going to be wrapping up shortly, but before we go, I want you to share with us some of the things that you are reading. Like, what books are you reading right now? What are you listening to? What's new with you? Let's have a little bit of fun with your personal life.
Yeah. So I'm more into, to be honest with you, this last few day week, I have not been reading a book, but I'm
Yes.
more into magazine right now. So you will
Okay.
see me, like, grabbing Time magazine, Success magazine,
Mm.
things like that. As far as podcasts, I like to hop on my boy Louis House podcast,
Yes.
and sometimes, like, Entrepreneur on Fire, John Lee Dumas,
Mm.
to listen to those mind, kind of captivate of that great mind. And you also see me on CNBC, trying to read about the stock market,
Mm.
investment, and success story about other entrepreneurs that are out there. So you'll see me on those platforms sometimes, like, face-to-face Africa,
Yeah.
just to see what's going on, like, in the world of entrepreneurship in Africa and success
Mm.
stories. Yeah.
That's interesting. What about music? I know what I'm into in music right now. This new song Jerusalem. I've been dancing to it.
Well, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. So I was not into the African music thing, but one of my boy from the summit has been like, when we're playing the summit, he was like, introducing me to, like, different artists, and I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know. He's like, how come you don't know that person? So he has been, like, pushing me more,
Yeah.
into. So right now, I'll be honest with you, I've been listening to more to release song,
Okay.
Omar B, like, he passed away, sorry,
Mm.
maybe listen to all those songs from Africa to get more educated and to feel the vibe, yeah, from my culture.
Okay. Have you heard this the Jerusalem, the
Oh
music?
yeah, yeah.
I
I love
love
that.
it.
So I see people like, dancing with their food in their hand or whatever.
Yes, yes. I can't dance to save my life, but I mean, I would move, to the groove. Yeah, I love the music.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it means. I need to dig into what it means.
You know how to make the moves?
I don't know. I've been trying. I need a dance teacher.
Maybe
Look,
once you master, you can come and teach me that.
oh my, you'll be waiting forever. We need to get the same dance teacher, maybe. But I think music is such a way to bring us together, especially at this time. What are some of the things that you've done to distress, to relax,
Well,
to not be too into the chaos,
yeah,
right? What are
so
some of the things you've done or you're doing?
play with my girls. Is just one with the thing I love
Yeah,
to
how old are they now? You have
2 and 6.
Oh wow.
So they're very fun. I enjoy spending time with them.
Yes.
Going to the lake is one also like favorite too, and then also going to the farm.
Oh,
So I started going to the farm, recently, and I think has been one of the peaceful places. Like, and just looking at the land filled with
yeah.
corn and beans, and help the animals, the cow and the
Yeah.
piglet. So I think it give it a source of fulfillment. Yeah.
Well, that's so what have I been doing? I've been resting. you
That's
know,
important.
yeah, I've been resting. I've been trying to eat well.
Okay.
And yeah, catching up with, connections and really sharpening up my business skills, right? So that TANTV can get to that next level and raise some
Congratulations.
funding for our business.
Keep,
So
keep
I've
pushing
been
for that.
really, yeah, I've been really into that personally, but so far so good. Um, to wrap up, I want you to kind of leave us with something hopeful, something that we should take with us, like some quote or some thoughts. Just leave us, inspire us, Marco.
Yeah.
Inspire us.
So
Need it.
I want to share. I want to tell your audience that in the midst of this crisis,
Yes.
we cannot let things down, right? We cannot be discouraged. We cannot be disappointed. And one thing that's important, we know that stars only shine in the darkness. Even when it's difficult, when it's hard,
Yeah.
we can embrace a spirit of hope and believe that we can get things done. Don't put things up. When you have an idea, it's something that you want to accomplish, jump into it. Even if you fail, it's okay. Get up, find a different way, find a great support system, and you'll be on your way.
Thank you so much for that. And that reminds me about our conversation the last time. I don't know if it's okay to share now, but we talked about, you know, having founders together, African founders, and creating a space for that. So that's something that I'm really excited about to come, because I think we need to be in a network where we can continuously encourage each other and support each other, because that's something Black people don't do enough, right? Is to share ideas with each other and really be connected to support each other, and we need more of that.
Definitely.
So and so it's been so important to me to even have a platform that celebrates multiculturalism and diversity and just Black greatness and Black excellence. And so I'm very happy to have you as a guest on this episode. And thank you so much. I look forward to the projects that you have coming up and to sharing it with the world.
You keep trying, right? to get out of people.
Exactly. So, well, thank you. Well, there you go, everybody. I want to say thank you to our viewers. Thank you for watching. Thank you for, staying tuned with us. Subscribe to TANTV Studios YouTube and follow Marco LeRoc at Marco LeRoc. You're going to see it on the lower thirds here. Thank you, guys. And I'm excited for the next episode and our next guest. See you next episode. Thank you.
The coronavirus has affected the African American community in many ways. including a drastic drop in blood donations needed for patients with sickle cell disease. If you're healthy, please make an appointment to donate at redcrossblood.org.